And I've got, yeah, sensitivity is the gift this week, and we're talking about feeling everything. So welcome to tuning in. This is Deborah, LeeAnn,
And Suzanne Joy.
and we are here to drop in with you and feel into the collective intelligence of what's calling us forward. I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I have been rethinking my web page and how I want to change my bio. And my in the past, I've always prided myself for saying I was a rebel. And now I don't want to fight against anything. I saw those photos of you yesterday, Suzanne, when you were out cross country skiing, and I'm like, yeah, flow, moving forward with fun and grace and I'm also in the sage retreat, and I'm in the activation of my life's work, and it's about being. And I have always had a difficult time with this for the last 10 years or more, but there's something to be said about following what is. Yeah, sometimes it is ugly. We were just talking about that. That sensitivity thing can take us down some real rabbit holes, but then we're getting into the shadowy parts. It doesn't all have to be horrible. If we know that this is something that's going to get me somewhere new to where I'm going so that I can be in service to the collective, it makes the discomfort. I mean, yeah, it's not going to make it go away, but at least it changes the intention of the pain. Does that make sense?
I wouldn't say that it makes it any better.
No, it
I
doesn't
mean,
make it better.
and
It changes the intention.
and
Instead of going, ooh, this is horrible, I want it to be over, which means we're fighting it, right? How do we allow it? How do we let it transform us? How do we let it burn us down from to the ground so that we can kind of like what we want to do a lot in some of the systems in our country or our world, but that's what needs to happen, right?
well, and I'm being observant of the patterns I'm seeing in society where there is that disconnect of the of to the emotions or the sensitivity, and then we can't hear each other. We can't feel each other. We can't if we connected heart to heart like little children, we'd be in a much happier place.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes that's not comfortable. Sometimes that's feeling all of our stuff going, this doesn't feel good to talk to this person right now, you know? And so I don't know how we got on this topic, but interesting. Um, how can we, and I know that there's a way to transform shadow, and we know it from Richard Rudd, and the three words are allow something to be the way it is, accept it as it is, and then embrace it. I'm not saying you have to embrace pain and difficulty and crappy, deep dives into the nether worlds. But if we can allow it, it, then we get somewhere along the line, we'll get moments and glimpses of grace for the acceptance. And that's the only time it moves, in my estimation. There's a loud background buzz. I wonder what that is. Um, be on my end because it seems like I don't hear it when either one of us are talking. Hmm. I apologize for that, listeners. So, your thoughts? You've got a very pensive face. Share, please.
Well, I was just feeling into it. I just know that as an empath, you pick up you sense everything around you, right? And most of my life I did that. And it was very hard to distinguish sometimes between my emotions and me picking up other people's emotions. So, in that sensitivity, I might have been in a reactionary mode from somebody else's stuff that wasn't even mine.
Right.
And I think, I believe, I feel that that mastery of being able to communicate with my me having the mastery to communicate with my nervous system to identify what it is that I'm tuning into, to acknowledge it wherever it may be coming from, whether it's internal or external. And as you said, how am I able to gently hold it, almost like a mother's touch, and just be with it?
Now, I want to make a distinction here that I think part of the sensitivity is knowing what's mine, what's not mine. What's so that I know that that person, I can love them in their discomfort, but I don't have to join them in the discomfort. In fact, it's not helpful. We learned that in my compassion class about empathy. When you jump into the same emotion and feel it with them, you are
Right,
not helping them. So,
right.
how do we distinguish? This is a discernment, which I believe is part of the sensitivity, going, oh, wait a minute. No, this is my old, I can hear the old patterns talking and the old my ancestors, my mother, my grandmother, and that's not who I am in this moment. So that sensitivity to me is allowing, what was that thing that you wrote on the fridge years ago? To love someone, you let others voluntarily evolve and you stand and witness with love, right?
Right.
So there is something so beautiful about that. I think the sensitivity is when we get caught up in the, it doesn't feel good. Yeah, right. It doesn't always feel good. In fact, very often when we've gone through any kind of trauma, grief, I know so many people struggling right now, and there's not much I can do but love them. And I mean, if they want coaching, I'm happy to provide that. But very often they just need somebody to cry, on someone's shoulder.
Right.
So but it is not easy. I hang up from talking to these people on the phone or from seeing them, and I'm like exhausted.
Well, and then, that doesn't feel quite right either.
It's not because I haven't learned, and we've talked about this for a decade now, the whole energy management system is of where do we tap into our resiliency and our infinite power of holding space, or how is it getting
Is
drained? It feels like it's an energy drain. Like when we send our energy over to that person, I'm losing.
well, yeah, and I think that too, is it coming from your own chi or is this coming divinely sourced? So I'll give you an example. When I would work with clients and I would be with them doing energy medicine, and I typically did not feel drained from doing that work. Now, I knew that I would only really be able to do 4 clients a day. Like that was but that was more of just my knowingness of that's enough
Your limits.
for my spiritual resiliency and my emotional, physical, mental well being. Um, I feel like that's different than, I guess, what I'm experiencing right now. Maybe because I feel like we are dealing with so many energetic upgrades in our own system and rewiring and recalibrating ourselves that I continue to listen to my own signal, and it's saying, take a step back. Not out of protection, not out of harshness, but to be more of the observer and know when it is my time to speak.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people are saying, why isn't everybody outraged and doing X, Y, and Z to stop what's happening? And I had the same experience many years ago, when there was the DAPL oil pipeline thing that we were
Oil spill.
dealing
Hmm.
with.
Yeah.
And I really had to sit with, okay, where ancestors show me, like, what is my role to help solve this situation? So I would tune in that way, and I ended up doing fundraising for the people on the front line.
Yeah, which is brilliant. And sometimes it doesn't have to look like having a picket sign in your hand. It can
Right,
be loving. I
right,
think that is the best resistance we can do right now is to
right.
just love, which is part of the thing when somebody's going through pain and how I haven't learned to manage myself well enough to love on them and not drain myself, right? This is something I'm aware of it and I'm getting better because certain people I can actually have conversations with and not feel, oh, when I'm done.
Right.
And others, especially people close to me, I feel like I still have that connection where I'm somehow feeding them or they're feeding me or whatever that is. And but this is such a rich, we could talk so much about this because it gets into, which is what I was talking about the other day. I think we should have a conversation around energy management systems and boundaries because that's what's being called for right now. If we don't take care of ourselves, there's no way we can be of any service to the collective, to our
Right.
loved ones.
And
So
to make choices and decisions out of a reactionary state is just going to perpetuate the same nonsense.
the same energy, right? It's the same frantic, fear-based operating system. And
Right.
we are choosing, which is why it's so messy, because we're choosing to operate differently and we're making it up as we go along, kind of. So I want to just show the mudra that goes along with this week's pulse, which has to do with this whole topic, which got us in this place. And I'm speaking from the book The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd, and he did a whole series for each of the gene keys where he did a mudra to go along with it to help you with contemplating these higher states. So the state of sacrifice, which we didn't even get into, but let's just play with sensitivity. Um, you put your hands together like you're praying or whatever, and you keep your pinky fingers up and your thumbs are touching. So your pinkies are touching, your thumbs are touching, but and I find this fascinating, your index fingers are standing facing each other, but not touching. And this to me feels like, oh, I want to be there, but I'm not enmeshed in that energy. So, and he just says to close your eyes and breathe into it and let the energy of it. And I feel like this is going to be my thing I do while I'm listening to the news. I am not a part of it, you know? So, anyway, shall we continue this another time? Did you want to pull a card or anything exciting to move us to the next
Um,
phase?
so maybe let us know what kind of is useful for this week.
Um, I think
Oh, that's
it's
so funny.
support and loving. Yeah.
It's all about remembering our multidimensionality, and we're expanding. So, you know, it's a as we're expanding, just think of that growth spurt. It can be very uncomfortable. You're working on multi levels of your emotional body, physical body, your monad, your spiritual essence is all it's all happening all at once simultaneously. And so, yeah, I know that I typically work a lot up in the top ones, and the past few weeks have brought me down a few notches to really feel my humanness. Um, so here we
Yeah.
are, human. Here we are, human to human. You
Yeah.
want humanity? Show up as love in human form.
Yeah. It's such a whole the quote that I was cleaning out some stuff in my office this morning, and this piece of paper fell out of one of the books, and it says, "To be whole, to be complete, wildness reminds us what it means to be human, what we are connected to, rather than what we are separate from." And it's a quote by Terry Tempest Williams. So what we're connected to. Let's choose to be connected in a healthy, loving way, not in a fear-based, codependent way. So thank you so much, sweet girl. It was so lovely talking to you. Till our next time together.
Much love.